Well, hello once again. We're going to do a little potato garden, potato patch, whatever you want to call it, update here. I want to let old Buzz know what's going on so he can say he was soundly defeated this year. And no cheating, on my part. I let him win last couple of years, but it's not going to happen again. I don't believe in 3 strikes and you're out and all that sort of thing. It's just 2 strikes and you're out, Buzz. So what I've done here is I weed-eated all the grass that was down in this. I moved it to here. I originally was going to put down the black mat stuff underneath to suppress the weeds and all, and then put my dirt on top, and I decided no, I'm not going to do that. I went ahead and I pulled it all up, and what I have here down is composted cow manure. Composted cow manure. I saw an old boy from Australia do this on the internet, on YouTube, and he got a great crop, So when I've said it, 1,000 times, if I see something that is a good idea, I'm going to implement it. So that's what I'm doing here. So we have a layer, a thin layer, right on top of the grass of composted cow manure, or cow manure and compost, whichever you want to call it. Over the top of it, each one of these bags is capable of handling 75 square feet. So I've got 108 square feet here, so I don't know, I'll probably use 1.5 bags anyway. This is bone and blood meal. He put bone and blood meal over the top, just that's all there is to it. It looks like calcium almost in a way, But it's bone and blood meal. You're just going to throw it out there just like that. I'm going to cover the whole thing. Then I'm going to put down newspapers. I'm going to cover the whole thing with newspapers and wet it down with a hose. And when that happens, I'll come back. But meanwhile, I have something else to show you. I showed in the last Mish-Mash video, number 189, I believe it was, that I had bought 10 pounds of red potatoes. And they're eyeing out pretty good. They're starting to do their thing. And but I kept something that was sent to me last fall. And I kept it in a cool, dark place. And then when the garage was built, our new garage, I moved it out there because it was cool and dark, and I kept it in the box that it was sent to me. Now what we have here is a bunch of red potatoes and a few white ones. There were more than this, but I went ahead and ate some of them. They were sent to me by Buzz. These were the potatoes from Buzz's crop. Now these things have eyed out a little bit, they're Buzz potatoes, you can't expect too much. But, it took all year for them to grunt those many eyes, but we're going to go ahead and plant those also. Old Buzz said, you weren't supposed to eat the ones I sent you were supposed to grow them. Hey buddy, you send them to me, I do what I want. Yeah. So what we're going to do is plant these in the center section right here. We're going to do the same thing here that we do here, but we're going to use Buzz's potatoes. I'm sort of figuring it'll be a total waste and bust. Buzz's busted garden over here, but we'll give it a try. But I'm not going to do them here in the end. I'm going to try to get some more dirt and fill in here and down there and grow some of the onions that were sent to me and some of the radishes, and we'll take care of that later. And so let's finish all this up. The blood and bone meal has been spread, and I'm now going to put the newspapers on top of it. But because it's a little breezy today, I'm going to wet. You normally put your newspapers down and wet them all, but I'm going to have to wet them as I go. Otherwise, they'll blow away. But it's just a misty spray enough to keep them on the ground. And there's the papers. Let's get it done. Well, the newspapers are down. Let me tell you something. That was no easy task with the breeze blowing today. Every time I laid one down, the breeze, I'd have to chase it around, quick get some water on it. Anyway, I'm going to wet it down one more time, and then we're going to go ahead and plant our potatoes right on top. Whole potatoes. I was going to cut them in half, but the heck with that. I don't feel like it. Too lazy. And then we're going to cover them up with straw. Nice heaping mounds of straw. So I have 25 potatoes, so we're going to have 5 rows of 5 each, if I can fit them across there. I'm not sure exactly how I'm going to do it. I may stagger them back and forth, but all 25 are going down here. Well, there they are, pretty well spaced out. I figured I was going to have to stagger them a little bit. Pretty well spaced out the way I want them. If I was Buzz, I'd send me an email giving up already. He really does need to acquiesce. Well, just cave in, to go on to fixing radios. Call me the new Potato King right now. Well, there's the first bale. One of the keys to doing this no-dig potato method is do not get chintzy with the straw. You got to pile it up there. I'm going to try to get it up to about a couple of feet high. That's our second bale. That'll be busted open here in a second. Well, that's it for now. I've got to go back down to Lowe's and pick up some more cow manure and compost. You're supposed to cover, I'll cover about 8 more bags on top. Then I'm going to sprinkle a bunch, probably a whole bag of this horticultural vermiculite, and then wet it all down. And then probably Tuesday, today's Saturday, tomorrow I'll have to work on the fence. But Tuesday, I'll go down and buy everything I need at Lowe's Monday morning, and Tuesday morning I'll get Buzz's failure garden in here. Incidentally, you know, another reason old Buzz cannot win this year is he can't do push-ups. He cannot do push-ups. Anybody can't do push-ups who wants to compete a third time. I just can't believe he's going to run out of gas. He's probably already run out of gas. Have you seen his gut? Oh, God. You know, I heard a couple of years ago he went to the beach and some little kid come up and accused him of hiding his beach ball. We're finishing the last steps. I'm taking more manure compost and throwing it all over the top. I've already sprinkled in the vermiculite, used about almost the entire bag. And then once we get everything spread around, we'll go ahead and wet it down with a hose. I also got compost manure and bone, blood, and meal already set up for Buzz's miserable potatoes when I get around to planting those things. God, they're terrible looking, but I'll do the best I can. I'm not sure I even want the neighbors to know I'm planting his potatoes here. I may have to do something about that. Alright, the last thing we do now is wet everything down and let some of it, that'll wet the hay down, let some of that manure get down in there also, and that vermiculite. Just give it a good wet down. You don't have to do much to this stuff, this no-dig potato stuff. If it works, we're in great shape. I'm sure it will. How can it fail? I mean, when that stuff really rots up, we're going to have just a really, the two things I liked most about this method is this no dig, which is really cool, and the best part is when you're all done and everything's rotted down throughout the year, you've got a really, even after you harvest the potatoes, you've got a really fertile piece of ground, because that stuff will keep on rotting all through the winter. You add a little bit to it the next year and you're good to go. So I just hope it all goes as planned, which it should. We'll know come around July 4th sometime. We'll see. There won't be any work done on the shop this weekend. Just not enough time. But I hope next weekend to finish up the inside of the walls, get all the OSB up. Everything except the ceiling. And maybe my son-in-law will be over. He can rough in some of the wiring. The pits, because of the big rains we had, this whole thing was just full of water here recently. It's finally gone down, and maybe next weekend, if he's got enough energy, he's a hard worker. He works all week, and we're a working family, and he doesn't need to come over here and exhaust himself, then have to go back to work the next day. So we'll see what happens. Until next time, this is John.